My sincere thanks, friends, to Express Pharma for organizing this conference and this particular session on the lab next towards paperless laboratory need of the hour. I really appreciate the subject selected by the Pharma Express, which is really the need hour to be discussed by the industry. As no doubt about that, we are moving towards a new era of digitalization, and hence uh, it is very much apt to discuss this subject with the connection to the laboratory performance in time to come. My dear friends, uh, we have an experts panel as introduced to you just now by Dipti, who has over almost 200 years of experience in the pharma industry. So you can imagine the deliberation which we are going to have today and which we are going to share with you our experiences from that perspective. And these deliberations, I'm very sure it will be benefited a lot to all of you. Also, I would like to request all our audiences, participants, if you have any questions or thoughts, please enter it into the chat box. We will try to answer at the end. If time doesn't permit, you can communicate us through Pharma Express. Will get back to you with the answers. So let's begin the discussion on the digitalization perspective, which is the need of the hour for the paperless automations in the laboratory. Many programs are being organized various places, and everybody talks on digitalization. But I have rarely seen anybody discussing what is digitalization technology. And this digitalization technology means exactly what is going to happen. So, Dr. Rao and Dr. Rajiv, I would request both of you to discuss these points in that sequence. Dr. Rao, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Barshikar. Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, Actually, the very important point you said, the need of the hour. I think this is very, very critical for discussion. I think, in my view, the digitalization technology, automation in the labs, I think the first and foremost is, converting the paper-based system to paperless system through digitalization. That is the one of the main objective. And uh, we have several tools available in the, commercially available. Like, for example, we have in the analytical R&D space or R&D labs, we have like electronic lab notebooks, which are more flexible. And for the QC laboratories where we operate with a lot of good manufacturing practices and controls, we have laboratory information management systems called LIMS. And apart from that, we also have a lot of robots, cobots, and we have more specific advanced automation technologies are available to perform repeat tasks. Basically, we do in the QC labs like a lot of sample preparations, which are quite repeat in nature. But to avoid the manual interventions, I think we have a good number of tools are available.
Rajiv.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Dr. Varshikar. And it's nice to have this very elite panel. I'm not sure if you can add the number of years and make it 200. Thank you for that. So I agree with what B.M. Rao said just now. And obviously, when you talk about digital technologies, technologies are always welcome. And in our case, in pharma industry, we're not different. Obviously, we look at so much of activities in our workplace. And as Dr. B.M. Rao just said, the most important part is the documentation. Documentation is something that is so much important in our industry. And any kind of change in the documentation practices from the manual practice to digital process is always welcome. So this is one of the major advantage of, and we look forward to ensure that this comes out in a big way. Advancement in other areas is also welcome. We are looking at several technologies which can bring in a more ease of operations over there. Resource optimization is something that we look forward to these kind of activities. Obviously, the manual way of working should definitely be taken back, and we should come out with more consistent manner. And that also brings me to the aspect that the product nature, the quality, the consistency of our batches should be so good that they should not have a variability. The more and more you bring in automation, that will definitely make our life easier, and it will have less of errors. And most important, as I said on the documentation, the retrieval of the documents, archival, and the storage, which is which has been a major concern till now. But now with kind of digital documentation, we'll have less of space required. The infrastructure will be less on burden. And at the same time, when you look at these kind of technologies, the biggest concern that we have is on the data integrity. I think that will make a big difference in the way the data integrity is managed, and we should be able to get much better compliance in our systems by these technologies. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rajiv. That's a quite elaborate communication on the digitalization. What is the digitalization? But Dr. Rao and Dr. Sanjay, what we have been knowing, and we have been reading in public domain as well, but there are need of the implementation of the digital paperless laboratory, which we are calling today. This is a subject of today. So what are different reasons for implementing this digital paperless laboratory? Dr. Rao?
Yeah. So Dr. Varshikar, basically, I think, like today, regulators are expecting more and more electronically enabled laboratories, and that will help in reducing the lot of manual interventions.
Right.
And apart from that, I think one of the major reasons, as Dr. Rajiv Desai mentioned, I think, lot of, we have few years back in India, we have several, unfortunately, several organizations went through warning letters, import alerts because of the data integrity issues. So I think, implementing digital paperless laboratories will really help in enhancing the compliance and avoiding the human errors. I think a lot of human errors can be avoided, and ensuring data security. I think these are the major things. And Dr. Rajiv also mentioned, and just I am echoing what he said, is quick and easy access to the information. That is one of the advantage. And also the reason is we also have some cost reduction definitely, because we are avoiding a lot of papers, like lot of documents, papers. We can avoid a lot of cost reduction we can do. And another important aspect is, I think, the productivity can be significantly improved through digitalization, because obviously when we reduce the human errors, I think the rework is very less. So I think that will really enhance, and definitely also it will help digitalization in the laboratory. Also improves in a lot of planning, scheduling, and which results in like resource utilization. So that is also one of the challenges in the QC labs, like how effectively we will plan the work, how effectively we do the scheduling of the samples. Like suppose one analyst did not come in the shift, who will take up the analysis? All those things can be really digitalized. That will really help in doing the things in much efficient and productive. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rao. Sanjay, would you like to come in?
Yeah, so I think there are many advantages, benefits over like manual or the conventional laboratories as compared to the digitalized laboratories. So first of all, the enhanced trust and confidence of regulators, basically because it has it gives them a high level of data integrity, and as each activity which is happening in this laboratory information management systems or automated labs has an audit trail, time and date is being stamped, who is doing what is being recorded. It definitely reduces the manual error, the transcription errors. There's a uniformity of analysis. The pattern is uniform. The recording pattern is also uniform. It also helps to reduce the deviations, simple deviations, like for example, sometimes we encounter the deviations wherein we use the instrument without calibration or calibration is due date is over. So it has a locking system wherein if the instrument or the valence is not calibrated, system will not allow that to be used. Similarly, there would be a stability schedule, so it would pop up, give you the reminders. You can avoid those kind of deviations. There's no need to archive the data, already touched upon, but at the same time, button a click, you get all data, metadata, which is available, and you can quickly trend the data, trend the results, and use that information for some statistical analysis. Also easy to track the sample, where is the sample, what tests are done, where it is, what is pending, who is doing the analysis. So any priorities can be identified. Ease of inventory management, these are the modules available. For example, inventory of chemicals, standards, whether it is reference standard, working standards, columns, solution, etc. And you can use the module wherein only qualified analysts can perform the particular test. So these are the various benefits and advantages in the digitalized development.
Okay. Thanks, Sanjay. But when we are discussing these advantages with such a digitalization activities to move towards the paperless laboratory, we are talking of those advantages certainly. Nowadays, the organizations are getting convinced also. But it will be also helpful to understand that what are those advances in technology which can be implemented today to take these benefits just now we discussed. Dr. Rajiv?
Thank you so much. I think what we're talking about is the enhancement in any area of work that we have. What will happen, I would say that the basic concepts of our analytical methodologies will not change. So the same spectroscopy, chromatography will continue, but there'll be advancement in the way that we use this data. The data is recorded, and softwares will become more and more powerful. We use a lot of data mining nowadays, a lot of backup data, a lot of background data, past data, and we want to create some meaningful information out of it. So these software will definitely help us to ensure that we have the right information in our hands before we make decisions. The decision-making process will definitely improve, and that is the quality of decision that will come up. Secondly, the integration of these softwares with multiple platforms. We cannot have one single company or OEM giving us all the technologies. So we have to rely on several companies to give us, and most commonly are the networking softwares for the chromatography, the SAP, the ERP system that we operate in, the LIMS that we have. So many vendors are supplying LIMS. Now, each of them should have that kind of a compatibility or a kind of integrity or integration so that they can talk to them each other seamlessly and share the information so that anybody accessing in any platform, they should get the right information. So laboratory work which is done should be available to a person who is operating a SAP and get the right information for taking decisions or purchases or decisions of buying or selling. All those things can happen. So these kind of information generation is very important. Secondly, we'll also see a lot of robotics coming up in the analytical instruments. As you know, most of the analysis is so much repetitive, and this repetitive analysis, brings in a lot of errors. And I'm sure that each one of us know that these errors are really costly for us. Now, if we hand over such activities to more and more automation, and there are some automation coming up in the space of sample preparation, multiple analysis that are done, I think that will definitely make a lot of difference in our way that we work, and the productivity will definitely increase, and we'll have much better output in the laboratories and the plants that we operate now. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right, Rajiv. And I agree fully on the seamless integration with multiple platforms, which is the key to enhance the software compatibilities, which is absolutely right. And when you talked of the robotics coming in, just to slight deviation from our the laboratory subject, there are some restaurants in Hyderabad or Bangalore which are using robotic processes to do the delivery of the food item to the customers. So the advancement is there in every other field, and we are slightly behind as a pharma industry perspective. Dr. Rao?
Yes, yeah, Dr. Bashir. So I think Dr. Rajiv has pretty much covered, but what I would like to add is, as I mentioned, especially we have invested very heavily in Dr. Reddy's on the digitalization in past 4-5 years. So as I mentioned, I think in the R&D labs, from the analytical R&D perspective, we have heavily implemented the electronic lab notebook. Basically, it is more flexible because they do a lot of experiments, and they'll be doing, there is some lot of flexibility needed for the R&D chemist and analyst. So we have implemented electronic lab notebook and laboratory information management system. Some good international platforms we have implemented in all our quality control labs, across the company. And as Dr. Rajiv said, I think it has their lot of advantages as integration of all the instruments, linking with the LIMS, and we have of course we are operating our chromatography systems on Empower, and Empower and LIMS gel very well. Apart from that, I think the robotic workstations also we have implemented in one of our biggest formulation units in Hyderabad. We have implemented the tablet processing workstation where, for all the content uniformity assay methods, we don't do anything. We just drop the tablet, automatically it will do everything, dilution, and it will load the samples onto HPLC and we'll get the results. So that type of level of automation we have done, where a lot of manual errors, everything will be perfectly reduced. Thank you.
Okay, great. In fact, Dr. Rao, if I remember, more than a decade ago, there used to be automation into the dissolution system for diluting the media to the original volume automatically. Even sampling also was automatic. But now the robotics doing it is something different. You added a good point. Dr. Ranjit, would you like to come in? Now you are a biological expert in the quality control lab and doing a lot of good things in the Syngene laboratories. So would you like to share your views on these technologies which you have, which our audience also would like to know, whoever are from biological areas?
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Ranjit, and the rest of the panelists for putting in a lot of, very solid inputs. From a biologics perspective, the methodologies, the analytical toolkits that we use within the lab is a little more complex, for the simple reason that we handle temperature-sensitive products, stress-sensitive products like proteins, insulin, so on and so forth, vaccines, and so on and so forth. By nature of these methods, a lot of repetition activities like Dr. Desai and Dr. Rao mentioned goes in. For example, an N-glycan analysis or a peptide sequencing or a RT-PCR test, for residual host cell DNA or host cell proteins, take a lot of manual activity, I would say, in terms of sample preparation, pipetting. I mean, I could give you an example where one analyst typically spends at least 2 to 3 hours using at least 6 to 7 different volume automatic pipettes and going on serially diluting up to 200, 300 folds, and sometimes even thousands of folds. And if you do that in a sequence of batches, which is around 10 or 15, it literally takes an entire shift to operate. And that's just for sample prep. Forget the analysis. So these kind of technologies, like the robotics that was mentioned earlier, we have automatic pipetting systems, which are like dominoes, you stack up one after the other, and these completely automate the process. One, it achieves consistency. Second, accuracy. Third, efficiency in the analysis. So the fatigue that brings, and like Dr. Desai mentioned, the human factor creates a lot of fatigue, and because of which we end up with costly errors like deviation, OOS, and things like this, which again percolates into the quality deliverables of the organization. So these technologies like the robotics, the automated systems, and the second thing is the interfaces. The chromatography data system, manufacturing execution system, LIMS, SAP, scientific database management system. All these things do contribute in reducing this. Of course, no software is cleverer than the human, but digital is the way of the future. So that's where the pharma industry is heading towards. So that's my view on it.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Ranjit, for enlightening our audience on that particular area. But when we are talking about the automations and different technologies which are available and which we are implementing, but it will be appropriate now for our audience also to know some real examples of implementation in the lab next. And from that perspective, uh, Dr. Rao and Dr. Ranjit, if you can come in and give us what kind of practical approaches you have, what have you exactly done, how it is functioning today in your laboratory.
Sure. Dr. Rao, could you please go first?
Yeah, sure. So, Dr. Barshikar, actually, after we have implemented very successfully for example, LIMS in our quality control labs, where we have seen, quite a significant amount of benefits. Like, for example, everything in the laboratory, QC laboratory starts with the sample receipt, and when we get the sample into the laboratory, then we start with the weighing. So the moment we weigh the sample, there is absolutely the weight will automatically captured in the LIMS. There is no manual intervention, though, there is no scope for any integrity. Like, automatically the weight will go into the LIMS, and from there, then the analyst will prepare the sample. Then, then he will do the analysis, and the data transfer also will automatically happen. So what we have seen is there is a, absolutely there is almost zero scope for any, data integrity with respect to the, any adjustments on the weighing and all, which used to happen a few years back in India. Yeah. So those things we have really arrested, and where we can avoid a lot of potential data integrity issues. And another important thing is, like, we have also seen, like, we could achieve a lot of productivity improvement, like, because rework has been reduced, like transcription errors. Dr. Sanjay mentioned, like, very, very important. People used to write, sometimes people used to write 8 or, something like the digit also looks different than, manually when we are writing and recording. And especially when the FDA auditors comes, they'll see the, notebooks like earlier, not digital one, the manual notebooks, the handwriting differs, they will question a lot of things, whether you have corrected the number or something, they get some doubts. So those things are, the practical challenges. I think those we have been successfully eliminated.
Thanks, Dr. Rao, for giving real implementation in Dr. Reddy's lab. Dr. Ranjit, would you like to come in from biological perspective?
Absolutely. I would like to seek your permission just to present one of the examples that we had done. So that let me share my screen. I hope the screen is visible.
Absolutely, it is visible.
Right. So this is one of the initiatives or one of the deployments, a large-scale deployment that I was personally involved in and spearheading with. So what you see here is actually a digital landscape deployed in both the biologics and the small molecule labs. So at the very top layer, you find the SAP or the ERP system, which talks to two major systems. One is the laboratory information management system, which we call as the LIMS, and the other one being the manufacturing execution systems, which is basically the EBMR. The EBMR totally syncs with the LIMS in terms of what samples comes along with the process, like upstream samples, downstream samples, purification stages, the penultimate and the final polishing steps in the manufacturing process. So all these do get captured, and the sample information is directly transcribed into the LIMS system. The LIMS system, like Dr. Desai earlier mentioned and Dr. Jain also mentioned, they have several sub-modules, like the inventory module, sample management, stability, asset management, reference standard, so on and so forth. These do have information, and they pass it on ultimately to the electronic lab notebook, which ultimately is the record that the analyst would use and ultimately present it to the inspectors. The ELN or the LIMS as a whole definitely has an interface with the chromatography data system and the individual instrumentation. It could be HPLC, GC, ion chromatography, what and what not, which is controlled by the chromatography data system for a data exchange, acquisition, and processing. But there are other equipment as well, like titrators, pH balance, capillary electrophoresis, plate readers, and many, on the platform. This analytical information, either as an input or an output, ultimately it gets captured in the electronic database and then finally flows into the scientific data management system. The scientific data management system can actually be used into in two forms. One, it can acquire the native format of the data from a chromatography system and publish it the way the regulators or the business needs are. But in also addition to that, it is a file neutral format where it can capture information from all the equipment. It cannot interpret, but the final data can be captured into the SDMS and published. So you basically have one compiled analytical test report from all applications as a single file. You can have a lot of functionalities like batch search, you can do trending, so on and so forth. And the best part is there are robotics, like the other experts explained, which can also work in coordination with some of the equipment for sample preps. So all this information like sequencing, data acquisition, compilation, transcription, storage, interpretation, all these things happens in a single landscape. So this is something that we are very proud of in terms of the deployment, and I think this is something that is the future that we see. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Ranjit, for giving a detailed information on practical implementation on the digitalization in your biological lab. It's a good example, and I'm sure our audience must have learned a lot out of this. When we are having such a large scale automations and moving towards the paperless labs, my thinking was this should be helping. Such a large activity of digitalization should be helping for the biggest burning issue for almost a decade is the data integrity. And there are contradictory reports in public domain about it. Large section feels that this kind of paperless laboratory will help to almost 100% minimize data integrity issues from laboratory perspective. Whereas few people still feel, no, it doesn't take care of 100% data integrity issue. So these kind of contradictory things coming in public domain, it's a confusing scenario a little bit. I'm aware that it has a tremendous advantages of these kind of paperless laboratory technologies to be implemented. But from this data integrity compliance perspective, what are your takes, Dr. Rao, Dr. Ranjit, and Dr. Sanjay, while implementing this digitalization in the labs? How sure we are, based on our practical examples already set in our laboratory, how can we give this assurance to our today's audience? Yes, this has helped to a large extent or minimized absolutely to a large extent. Dr. Rao?
Yeah, so Dr. Barshikar, I think a very important discussion point actually this one. So when we are trying to digitalize the labs, as Dr. Ranjit just mentioned, it is not only because in the laboratory we do a lot of tests like chromatography, non-chromatography, and some wet analysis, all the tests. So I think if you want to have the foolproof, data integrity covering, we need to have holistic approach. How to address this. Like, for example, if I implement only for the chromatography, I think some part I am leaving. Again, there may be some scope. So basically, when we started in 4 years back in our company journey, I'll tell you the practical challenges. Like, we have a lot of old equipment, especially the non-chromatographic equipment like pH meter, some old balances. Or I'm just telling a small example, right? Where we could not able to connect with LIMS. So we have taken a call, like, we have to, retire all those instruments, which are not able to compatible with the, digital platforms. So we have taken that call. We have invested very heavily on the capex. We purchased a lot of new equipment, which we can very well able to connect with the LIMS. Not only the chromatography and what I said, the standalone equipment like pH meter, IR, UV, all these equipments, very old equipment. So we have taken that call and we have implemented. So at least 90% we have avoided. Like where still we have some challenges, like wherever, for example, Dr. Rajiv can also add, if you are doing a sulfate dash, we'll do a lot of manual activity, right? There we have to do, still we have to do some manual documentation. So what I am trying to say is, I think it will call for some type of a investment, but definitely it will pay off in the long term in arresting the data integrity issues. That is my view.
Yeah, great. Dr. Ranjit, your input?
Sure. So in addition to what Dr. Rao just mentioned, I would just give a slight input over here. So GAM5 is basically the simplest resource that the industry has. One of the most detailed and versatile tools to assess the data integrity and the requirements for such a large-scale deployment. So this, in addition to this resource, the most important part is to put together a team of knowledgeable people, a cross-functional team, including the consultants from the original equipment manufacturers or the software manufacturers, IT experts, the quality assurance people, quality control, and these are the people who basically give the right input. Like the FDA says, junk in, junk out. So that is the most important parameter that we need to figure out. Performing a data integrity assessment for each and every module, each and every interface that goes into a system impact assessment, architecture assessment. So these are the ones that really need to be done to strategize and come up with an appropriate validation effort, so that the effort that you put in validation gives you 100% trust. Like the FDA always says, in God we trust, the rest all we verify. So this is something that we need to move forward towards, and that's, I think, my input in terms of avoiding data integrity.
Dr. Sanjay?
Sir, my experience being a software, any laboratory information management system has to be necessarily 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, and therefore there's no scope of breach of integrity of data. Any change, including you want to archive the data, is captured in the audit trail with date and time stamp and who did it. So that's very much clear that what is associated with it can be attributed to. It ensures ALCOA, and that's very primary requirement of data integrity. So any information which is being generated is attributed. Legibility is always ruled out. The entries are contemporaneous. Data which is being generated is original and accurate. So it addresses the basic requirement of data integrity, that is ALCOA. As we know that there's no manual recording of testing, so no transcription error, and thus you can avoid any data integrity issues. Interface of analytical instruments, including the balances, so the data is directly fetched into the electronic data is directly fetched into the software and then server. So there's no scope of data integrity issues. The calculations are made automatically in the systems, and the reports are recorded directly into the system. So this way you can avoid all data integrity issues, maybe intentionally or unintentionally.
Good. I understand, and there is no doubt clear-cut benefit while using paperless automation technologies in the laboratory. No doubt about that. But interesting, also would like to know from all of you is the past experience of the regulatory agencies when they visited our laboratories. I'm very much aware of it. And several difficulties, lots of issues, like simple example is like a retrieval of documentation. It used to take pretty long time. And so in current scenario, after implementing this automations for paperless laboratory, could be robotics or LIMS or any other technologies which are getting implemented today. So from that perspective, if all of you have experienced currently in last few years the audit of the regulatory agencies. What is your experience from that perspective before the implementation of the technology for paperless lab and after the implementation? Did you see difference in approach of the inspectors? How the things are moving currently from that perspective? Everyone can answer.
Can I take first?
Yes, no problem.
All right. So my experience, before LIMS, the regulators used to spend hours and days in the laboratories to review the data, metadata, interacting with the analysts, looking into every corner suspiciously, opening the drawers, going into the various areas of the lab, spending long time to review the data, even sometimes stretching beyond 5 p.m. As you already mentioned, long lead time to archive the data, that always creates the doubt in the mind of the auditor. So, these were the situations before LIMS implementation. And post implementation of the LIMS, there used to be a quick tour of the laboratory, just going into every room, that's all. And then they come back to the conference room. They use either laptop or any gadget, start reviewing the data and metadata and whatever they want to see, because button a click, everything is available. So there's a high level of confidence, high level of transparency and trust. And another advantage is that they are not staying back, because there is no waste of time in archiving the data. So, the total inspection time has been shortened. That's what my experience is.
Rajiv?
I agree to what Dr. Sanjay said. Yeah, you try to compare that for a couple of years back and now. So I would say 2020 BC. So when you say what is BC? Before Corona. So, for us, this is the biggest comparison that we can make. And as you all know, that during the last more than a year now, more than 1.5 years, we have been experiencing and also going through remote inspections. I think we could not have had fantastic experience of going through these kind of inspections had we not got automation. And that automation got challenged and also got appreciated during this time to the maximum level. And I'm sure that all of us over here have the same experience as what I do. The LIMS, the automation program that we implemented in our documentation practices, has been absolutely amazing. And during our remote inspection, that has come to our rescue to a large extent. Now, this has definitely helped us. Obviously, Corona has been one of the reason for going in a much more aggressive manner now, and we'll do it. It's not that LIMS only started, but we started much ahead of that. But the advantage of that, the benefits could be seen during this time. And I'm sure that going forward, we're going to get advantages of these kinds in a much, much better manner. Thank you.
Dr. Rao?
Yeah. I think Dr. Rajiv added a very good point, like before Corona. So I think Dr. Sanjay is very polishly said, inspectors are, now at least reasonably living. We had a scenarios, they're staying up to 11 o'clock in the sites in the night, asking for a lot of documents. It is not only painful for them, painful for us also, working for 13, 14 hours during inspection days. I think those type of things have definitely improved, very, very significantly. And I think apart from the LIMS and ELN, I think these type of things, we have also implemented like a lot of other tools also, like, the retrieval of the specifications and STPs, the methods, those documents also, we have a system called DocHub. For the change controls and approvals, we have a different software. Like we have, because those things also will be reviewed during inspection. So not only the electronic means not only in the lab, but the other associated documents like specifications, STPs, all those things we have a softwares like change controls. Then track-wise we have for OS, OOT, all those things. Those are also really helpful.
Yeah, good.
I'm sure other colleagues also or just comment on that.
Yeah, Dr. Ranjit, from biological perspective.
Sure. I mean, I would just like to share my experience here. I hosted a virtual audit before Corona, or after Corona rather. So this was an eye opener for us, because for the first time we actually used HoloLens to host the audit. So we had actually a head-mounted virtual reality system which was connected back to our system, and we literally walked. The auditor was sitting somewhere outside in the room, seeing what we are seeing inside the lab. He in fact asked me to just go peep into the fume hood and look at the balance calibration tag and tell me what is the next calibration due. So as I am seeing, he's seeing. So that's the kind of confidence that they get. Second thing is, yeah, I mean, quick inspection, happy inspectors. That is something that I would say. The other part is we were able to achieve 100% compliance in addition to getting a very low carbon footprint in the lab. So with all the other digital tools, getting this environmentally friendly and happy employees, because like they said, audit is always a stressful stuff. So they get back home, happy auditors, no observations, nothing can beat that, especially in a pharma world.
Okay, that's great. But when we are doing so much automation discussion and practical implementation, how regulatory agencies are viewing it, BC and AC, there must be, while implementing or after implementing, several challenges. And I have now 5 more max minutes before I conclude the session. So in this particular area, what could be different challenges, Dr. Rao, for implementation and the practically seeing the implementation?
I think there are some challenges. One is like, these definitely these solutions are expensive. So management should think that they have to really have the long-term vision and, they are willing to implement this. So definitely their solutions are expensive. Then I think the implementation times are little bit, lead times are more, For that really we need a good cross-functional efforts. As Dr. Ranjit also mentioned, we need to have a very good IT support teams, to support this and integration of the instruments, like we have like multiple makes, like HPLCs, different type of makes people will use across the companies. So we should be able to integrate them very effectively. Then especially when we do a lot of documentation, the methods, we have to create a lot of master creation in the LIMS. So that takes a lot of time. So for effective implement, I think these are the challenges. And apart from that, we have to make a holistic risk assessment when we do this. So these are my views.
Your input from this perspective.
I mean, Dr. Sanjay. Sorry.
Okay, Sanjay.
Yeah, so, sir, there's always a gain if there's a pain behind it, and definitely everybody might have come across some challenges like us. So the biggest challenge was for development of the software, and you have to work very closely with the service provider, meeting your process flow. That's the biggest challenge because you want to have the software designed as per your process flow. The another challenge was resistance due to low confidence by the users. That's another challenge. Validation requirement need to be spread out very clearly so that you don't have any questions during the audits. Efforts to write the accurate masters, which is very important for these kind of systems for each material type, and then upload into the system. Business continuity, because there would be a transition period wherein you are doing manual and then moving to the automation, so there would be a continuity of business is essential. Compatibility of certain instruments with the software was another challenge, and you have to replace those incompatible instruments. And then timely completion of the project was the biggest challenge, because ultimately you have to complete and start the activities to ensure that commercials are not impacted. Thank you.
Good. Dr. Ranjit.
Sure. For me, the biggest challenge was actually to put together the right skill set into a core group. The second biggest challenge is we faced when software has moved from Windows 7 platform to Windows 10 platform. Companies had to invest a huge amount to literally wipe out and replace the systems. But also the inspectors are coming in asking you, show me some data which was about 15 years ago, 10 years ago for your process validation batches. So how to make sure that there is a backward and a forward compatibility in addition to this IT infrastructure, and choosing the right validation effort. So you don't overdo things, but you don't underdo things as well. So those were the biggest challenges that we did face.
Good. Thank you very much for that. Now we have only 2 minutes left for to end our session, and but still I would like to comment on this particular point, which as a rejoinder to Sanjay mentioned, about resistance to implement digitalization. Is it that resistance is due to that the laboratory will get exposed? I don't know. I'm just throwing that question to think over. Coming to our last few seconds, words of wisdom from each one of you to our audience from digitalization perspective. Each one of you, please. Yes, Sanjay, go ahead.
So what I would suggest is automation in the lab ensures the integrity of the data and most importantly, ultimately the quality of the product. And it increases the confidence, the trust of the regulators. So it's a high time to go for it in every laboratory, specifically in India.
Dr. Rao.
Yeah, so my viewpoint is I think digital infrastructure, it will really help for remote working, and we can make any decisions based on the analytics. We'll have a lot of data. We just don't make decisions, ad hoc decisions. We'll have a lot of data, and the processes are well connected. And last but not least, we have the culture of accountability and for the outcomes. So that is really helpful. Thank you.
Rajiv.
Yeah, I think I would not say words of wisdom, but words of a little bit of experience that we have so far, and it continues. So thanks for this question. But what I would say is that no, it's a big transition from the existing system to implementing something new. So there's always a fear of failure that's always there among some people, and that puts the other people around you down. But what I am so happy and so confident is that the youngsters who are with us, they're so confident that they want to have this implementation done as fast as possible. And that is my biggest, I think, strong point while implementing. And I've seen it in several cases that when I just even talk about some implementation, I see so much of excitement amongst the youngsters to implement. What's important is to choose the right partner, because these technologies keep on changing. There's always going to be differences. So how good is the OEM to have enhancements and changes to meet up to the requirements and standards? You never know what will come up in the FDA's mind. So those things should be well managed. You should have a dedicated team to handle this, because it's not something that you can give as additional responsibility to the people, because you should have a very channelized approach for this implementation. And you should have a very strong support from the OEM during the implementation and after, because you are experimenting on these tools, and if they go wrong or they do not work as per the expectation, there should be a way of managing it in a very fast manner and does not have any kind of surprises, which is always the thought process that what will happen if it goes wrong during the inspection. So that question will always be in the back of our minds. And if we have that confidence coming up from everybody who's part of this implementation, I think that will go a long way. Thank you so much.
Yeah, regulators are highly encouraging these kind of digital operations. So while we are, working on a day-to-day, companies should have a vision on the horizon and vision on the future. So digital is the way to go. It has its challenges, but it's not impossible. I mean, there are companies, and India is a big talent pool for big software companies who are handling pharma. So I think we should delve into this lovely pool of resources and go for it. So that's my take on that.
Great. Personally, in my opinion, I'm strongly advocating the education system for B Pharma and M Pharma in various universities. I have been talking to them also with the Pharmacy Council of India to include digitalization as a subject in the part of syllabus, or have a special courses for them. And from that perspective, I'm sure they are taking it very seriously. And as we go ahead implementing this, more and more talent with the digitalization expertise, with literacy in digital aspects, will enhance and join the industry maybe in another 4 to 5 years in a large extent. And that will ease the pressure on the industry to get that kind of pool. So I really appreciate, thanks to all of you, these panel members, for a wonderful discussion we had from the beginning of, right from what is digitalization till the what should be done now by the industry in time to come to achieve the paperless laboratory. So thank you very much for your excellent thoughts in this subject for our audience perspective. Thanks to the Express Pharma for inviting all of us for this program and for this session. It was a lovely program. I thoroughly enjoyed, and thanks again to all of you.